So how many of you get annoyed when your horse is just pulling you all over the place trying to find some grass? Well, I definitely do. So today what I thought I'd do is show you how I correct this behavior in my horses. And we're putting out new horse videos every week, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and give this video a thumbs up. So one of my biggest pet peeves is whenever my horses are trying to snatch a bite of grass, either while I'm leading them or I'm riding them. So I'm going to start off by showing you guys how I correct the horse when I'm leading them, and then I'll go ahead and hop on and show you from in the saddle. So all you really need to correct a horse while leading is a lunge whip and also just a nice long lead rope. So you may be wondering what the first thing is you should do when your horse tries to pull their head down and eat. So there he goes. So the first thing I would do is I want to get him out and around me and moving. I don't want him to stop and eat. So I'm going to take my lunge whip here and I'm just going to wave it and hit the ground behind him. I'll do one time lightly, a second time more hard, and see, that was enough to get him going. So most horses, it's hard to get them to start going forward once they're already grazing. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my lunge whip behind the horse and I'm going to just smack the ground with it. So I'm going to start by just waving it lightly to see if they're going to listen. And if they're not listening, I'll just gradually increase the pressure with the lunge whip so I can wave it a little harder. And there he gets moving. So what I'm going to do now, once I have him moving, is I'm just going to make him do a nice working trot. And my goal for this is to teach him that stopping and eating grass is going to be more work for him than it would be to lead correctly. So I'm going to make sure I get him to go around quite a few times so he understands that this is work for him. And then once I feel like he's listening, he's not focused on the grass, then I'll have him come back in. And see, now he's not trying to put his head down and eat. Now he's listening, he's chewing, and he's looking at me. Good pony. So to summarize what you just saw, my initial reaction to when he started grazing is to immediately get him going and moving around me. Instead of trying to pull your horse's head up from the grass, use your lunge whip by waving it behind them to encourage them to move forward. And if they don't respond to an initial light pressure, you can gradually make that a harder, more aggressive pressure. But remember, you don't need to smack the horse, just wave the lunge whip behind them. And lastly, it's best to lunge your horse at a working trot. The trot is actually the hardest gait for your horse to do, and so they're automatically going to assume that they are working once they're trotting. So that's going to make it easier for them to tie those two things together, that trying to graze equals more work for them. Okay, so maybe your horse is just trying to pull their head down as you're just standing in a grassy area. So how I handle this is I'm first going to give the horse the option to put their head down, but then if they go to eat, I'm just going to shake my rope a little bit and keep him from putting his nose down. So it's just an immediate correction every time he goes to do that. And that way he's gonna learn, oh, I shouldn't do that. So a lot of horses will also get excited when you're leading them in the grass and they'll start to rush ahead of you trying to grab a bite. So what you can do here is I'm just gonna use my lunge whip. I'm gonna put it out in front of me. And anytime he goes to start walking ahead of me, I can just wave it up and down so he'll stay next to me and not be trying to pull me on the lead. So we've covered what to do on the ground if your horse is grazing, but let's talk about in the saddle. It can be so annoying if you're on a trail ride and your horse is just constantly pulling their head down to eat grass. So I'm gonna go hop on and show you guys how I handle my horse when they're trying to eat grass as I'm riding. So it can be super difficult to get your horse's head up once they've put their head down and they're trying to eat. So I found the easiest thing to do is just to take one of your reins and pull it to the side. And that way your horse has to turn their neck to the side and it's a little easier to get their head up and off the ground. So what should you do if your horse goes to put their head down and try to eat grass as you're riding? Well, if you can, what I try to do is if they go to do that, I'm going to do the same thing I did on the ground and I'm immediately going to try and send them out into a trot, whether I have to be more assertive with my aids to make them do that. And I'm going to let them trot as I did on the ground. And this is just so they can learn that it's going to be harder for them to eat grass than it is for them to behave and walk as they should. I've showed you guys how I correct my horses when it comes to stopping them from trying to eat, whether I'm riding or leading them. Now that I have the hard things done for today, I want to go have some fun. So I'm going to go out to the arena and try some jumps. was really fun, but if you guys are struggling with another negative horse behavior such as biting, I actually just did a video all about how to deal with a horse that bites. So I'll put the link in the description down below, and as always, stay tuned for more weekly horse videos.